What's up, guys? It's Mike here from The Art of Guitar, here with kind of a new setup. It looks a little bit different. I'm just trying some new things out here. I literally just got done painting this wall, so I actually have some red paint on my hand here. It's not nail polish, I swear. But today I wanted to talk about guitars that I either sold or gave away or forgot even what I did with them over the years. And I can break it down into 4 guitars that I regret losing the most. And sometimes it's kind of like losing, like thinking about an ex-girlfriend, and sometimes you're thinking, I wonder whatever happened to her, you know? The first one I wanted to talk about was my original first guitar. And this is the one that my brother actually bought first, and then he never really played it, so I started stealing it out of his room and just messing around with it. That's where I first learned how to play some simple Metallica riffs. It was the beginning of my whole guitar journey. And this was probably one of the ugliest guitars you'd ever seen. I'll try to put up a picture of a guitar that looks kind of like it. I'll look for one after. I'll put it all in post-production. But it was a purplish kind of color, and it was the shape of a Les Paul, but it was completely flat. And I remember it was pretty heavy. It had a pretty sturdy neck to it. And it was a Harmony guitar. And it had little dots for the inlays. And it was not that bad of a guitar. I mean, it was kind of ugly, but it played pretty well for being my first guitar. And the funny part is that this guitar had a huge black sticker on it that said Peavey. So if you're familiar with the brand Peavey, it had the big logo on it. And I'm kind of thinking, who would put a huge Peavey sticker on a Harmony guitar? It was really strange. But anyways, I thought about it the other day, so I went and searched the internet for it. I thought, what if somebody was just happened to be selling it and I could buy it back? I would do it in a heartbeat if it was a reasonable price, a couple $100 or something. And the saddest part of it all is that I don't even remember if I sold the thing and how it left my life. Maybe I just left it behind one day, or I lost it, I sold it to somebody. I don't remember, and that's the worst part. So I really miss that guitar, mostly because of sentimental reasons, being my first guitar ever. And man, if I could ever find that thing again, I will buy it. The next guitar I regret selling, this one I actually did sell, was an Ibanez Universe 7-string. And it was one of the white ones. It was so beautiful. It had, everything was 7, of course, because it's 7 strings. So it had a custom headstock, had a custom nut. It had these really weird 2 nut things in the middle. One held 3 strings, very strange. It had the white pyramids on it, which were gorgeous. Missed those a lot. It was just very aesthetically fun to watch and look at when you're playing. And then, of course, each pickup had 7 magnets on it. And then the bridge was giant. And the thing just played great. Being a 7-string was a little bit strange. Every time I played on the E string, it felt like I was playing on the A string. So there was a few times in concert where I would screw up because of that. And sadly, I sold it to my student, who told me later that he sold it for drugs. I'm like, oh man. So it was kind of a double whammy. It really hurt. And so I think someday I might replace that guitar if I can. You know, nowadays those original Universe guitars go for so much, but I'd really like to have that one back as well. I went a little crazy one time because I owned almost every style of guitar throughout my life except for a Les Paul, an actual Les Paul. You know, like I said, my first Harmony guitar was in the shape of a Les Paul, but it wasn't a Les Paul. So one time I thought, you know what, I might as well just go all out and buy, you know, the best Les Paul I can afford at the time. And so I worked at a music store, and I got a really good deal on this black Les Paul Custom. And it had gold hardware. It was a beautiful guitar. It was pretty heavy because it was one of the, I think it was like I don't know what year it was, but it was one of the earlier ones where they didn't chamber it yet. So it was pretty heavy feeling, but I really didn't care back then. I was just happy to have a Les Paul. And I bought one of these really thick straps so that if I played on stage with it, it wouldn't hurt as bad. That's a good little tip for you. If you have a skinny strap, it likes to cut into your shoulder a little bit, so go for a wide strap if you have a heavy guitar. So I played a lot of shows with this guitar. I used it in the studio a lot. It had a great sound, especially in that middle selection pickup, where it's both pickups. For clean sound, it just had this really fat, almost hollow body sound. It was gorgeous. And I ended up selling it to somebody so that I could buy a Paul Reed Smith, because by then I had played so many shows with this Les Paul that I was kind of tired of holding it, because I played in a cover band that played for 3 hours a night, and I was tired of holding this thing for 3 hours every night. So I thought, you know what, I want to get something that sounds just as big but is a little lighter as far as weight goes, so that I can get through these shows, because I was playing guitar and keyboard at the same time, so it was a little cumbersome for me. So I regretted getting rid of the Les Paul, but it was really nice having this PRS, and that's going to be my 4th guitar that I regret selling. And this guitar was this great black gray color. It had a dial switch, which I didn't like for the pickups, so I actually had somebody modify it and put in a 3-way switch, which was great, and then he put a pull tone knob on it so that you could do the coil taps, so it could sound like a Strat Strat. It was a great versatile guitar. And I also, because I was kind of into Buckethead at the time, I had him put a kill switch inside of it. So it was really cool. I'd play a chord and I would just hit that. It was kind of like the toggle switch on a Les Paul that you could cut the sound off. And I was able to do Rage Against the Machine type sounding stuff and a lot of different effects. It was really cool. So that guitar sounded about as big as my Les Paul, maybe not quite as big, but it was a lot lighter, a lot sleeker. And the neck was real fast. I know it wasn't the skinniest neck ever, but it played really well. And I think it was an ebony fretboard actually, so it was pretty legit. The only thing I didn't like about it is that the headstock had these kind of experimental tuning locks that they tried for a little while. Later on they switched to these more basic ones that you just tighten. But these had these weird little wings on them that you had to hit to eject the string. And I always felt kind of worried that the strings were just going to fly off during a concert. So I really didn't miss that part of that guitar, but everything else about it I really miss having, especially because it was customized with the kill switch and the toggle switch as well. And I started thinking, you know what, I could probably start replacing those guitars. Even if they're not the exact ones, I can get one that's close, that's kind of like it. So the other day I was looking through some Facebook ads. They have a thing called the garage sale for music items for the particular state that I'm in, and I saw this guitar and it just kind of lit up and I thought I have to get this guitar. So I ran off and I picked it up. It's right here right now. So I ended up replacing the Les Paul that I sold with this thing. It's a gorgeous guitar. It's kind of scruffed up right now because I've been playing it for a couple days, but this is a very close version of what I had, except it's a little better because it's chambered. So it's from 2014, so it's actually pretty light. And when it sits on my leg, because I'm doing all these videos, it's actually balanced. My old Les Paul would fall backwards because it was so heavy down here that it would keep doing this, and I hated that feeling. So just having this guitar being able to sit on my lap, well, now it's, there we go, it balances pretty well. It just feels great, and I know I can teach a lot with it just because it feels good when I sit and play it. It stays in tune pretty well. It has these really cool little string holders, and that's just to get the strings a little bit closer to the middle so that there's less tuning issues. And it feels really good to play. It's got the ebony fretboard. It's got these huge pearl inlays, which I really like. I never really liked the look of the first one. I kind of wish that was gone, but now I'm just being picky. And it's got this really cool carved metal plate right here. It says Gibson. And I know Gibson's just barely hanging on, but I hope they do. But anyways, I thought it'd be really nice to have one again. And so look forward to seeing this thing in a lot of videos. And I'm also going to be playing it live because now I get the advantage of having the big sound of the Les Paul with it being a little bit lighter. I know I'm kind of wimping out, but when you play on stage for a lot of hours, it does matter. So I'd be curious to see what guitars you guys have sold or let go somehow or lost or whatever, or broke. And let me know which ones you miss and which guitars you wish you could have back in your life. And I'm hoping over the next couple of years I can replace all the other guitars that I miss. It's kind of funny. It feels like I'm dating my ex-girlfriend again or something. Except it's not her, it's her clone. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Look forward to a lot more videos now that we're set up in the new space. I don't know if I'm going to stay in the corner like this. I might experiment with a couple different angles. But it should look and feel pretty close to the old videos, hopefully. Alright, take care. See ya.